Hi, well, how y'all doing? My name is Cameron Nixon, and it is August 29th of 2019. And I'm getting a little intrigued because I've been here in Michigan for about a month, and this might actually be the first time that I could see a supercell in my state. So I'm going to keep a lookout. And what I wanted to do is create this kind of, I don't want to call it a series, but I might start doing this a little bit more often. Um, because like I said, I'm going to be here in the mitten and y'all are going to be out here and there's going to be some pretty nice events that I'm going to be sitting on the sideline for. So I want to hold myself accountable for continuing to sharpen up my forecasting skills while I'm out here, especially during off season and a little bit of peak season. And I I want to live vicariously through this, and this might help me a little bit, and maybe you'll find this useful. If you do, continue the discussion. I want your opinion, and I want to see what skills I can sharpen up. So what we have going on here, we do have a pretty strong jet streak coming in. Even though it's late August and we got northwest flow, this environment almost resembles kind of a Ohio River Valley off-season event because you do have this really strong jet impinging in, and a characteristic really pinched moisture plume. So we got high dew points about where you'd expect them for this time of year. We have kind of a more stalled out regime over here that might get some nice convection. We're gonna kind of forget about that for now. What I'm going to focus on is this cold front dipping through the area. No, a cold front is not especially what you really want to see if you're from, especially the northern Illinois region. And that might actually bode true today. We'll see. But what we got here is some pretty rapid over the day advection of these dew points, especially into northern Illinois and Michigan. So, what are we going to do with this under a really speedy jet streak? Well, you got to think about severe convection a little bit with this kind of setup. So, take a little bit of a closer look. Um, zoom in on our area, and this is a little bit too high. I'm going to do the Midwest. And what we're looking at, I'm just going to pull up a theta E. We do have our sagging cold front, and the way this looks, we do have continual northward advection south of this front, and basically pure southerly winds here. So whatever happens down here, I'm not really expecting it to be um, very isolated in nature. It's probably going to be ending up as a solid line of storms, perhaps even a little bit of flash flooding threat, perhaps some high winds. Um, and we do have a pretty decent amount of cape here, so anything that is rooted along this will probably end up producing a tiny bit of hail, even with these weak shear profiles. So this is kind of just a stalled, stagnant mess. We then look toward the Iowa, Illinois portion of this, and we definitely have a rich moisture content. We do, though, have a little bit less convergent winds along this cold front, and you continue that as you get into kind of Lake Michigan area. Um, Basically, a little bit less forcing near the surface. Now, if you're talking about upper level, yeah, we do have quite a bit of that for what this matters. You could especially see this Vorticimax lobing into upper Michigan area, and not a whole lot in terms of upper level support uh, for the southern target. So, with that said, what's going on right now? We have in the center of our slight risk for SPC, we do have an ongoing mesoscale convective system, and to the dismay of some storm spotters in the area that were looking to perhaps grab some severe storms in the central part of the slight risk, or the northern part. It looks like this MCS might be a complicating factor in these kind of events where you have that really skinny plume of moisture that is very dependent on strong, quick advections. Having this giant block in the way is really not going to help. And what this might do is create this sort of rain shadow in over the rest of the northern Illinois area into Wisconsin. Um, how far north that has its effects are yet to be determined. But I'm looking at this and saying there's really not going to be that much of a shot at least sustained uh, convection in this general area later at night. So we'll have to see what happens. But for now, the subsidence combined with the stunting of the moisture convection, I'm thinking might limit the severe threat over here. Um, However, you are building up all these ingredients down here, converging our moisture. What's a little bit dismal about down there in that environment is you are lacking low level shear and upper level shear. We're away from that strong upper level jet, and we're kind of only in the entrance region of kind of this low level jet, whose effects really pick up as you go into you're displaced a little bit to the east and into Michigan. So things are just not aligning correctly for anything significantly severe to happen in this area, and hence we really do not have the highs of severe props. So what is going up here though? We do currently have a little bit of convection firing along the cold front. And by the looks of it, I'm just going to guess this is elevated. We really do not have much in the way of fair weather cumulus down here or anything to suggest it's unstable. We still have kind of our upper 50s dew points. They're filtering in, but we do not have our low level moisture quality likely yet. So what I'm doing up here is I'm waiting for this kind of elevated line to come out here. If it does, if the moisture does get to it in time before it washes ashore, it might pose a little bit of a threat for some kind of severe convection, but I'm not too worried about it, especially because it is currently starting out elevated in nature. So what I am looking forward to perhaps is a second wave of storms. You can see this is almost, it almost looks like it's trying to come off this cold front. And I'm looking for another bout of storms to, once these hopefully shrivel away a little bit, form along the actual cold front, and then continue on into Michigan. So let's see what our current environment is progged to look like. I'm just going to throw up the her, and knowing its biases, we can continue. But this general area where I kind of determined this to be kind of like a low moving convective mess. Um, Again, we have weak shear, but we do have some pretty high cape, at least forecast. So again, this is a pretty good environment for widespread severe if this were to initiate, um, especially in terms of damaging winds, and perhaps a little bit of flash flooding if this remains slow moving ish. And this might be depicting what I envision happening with that early MCS, basically stunting to get this weird stunted warm sector. I'm assuming this is mixed layer K, but I bet you that surface-based cape really ends at about this point, and it's not. This is not good for long-lived storms that fire off this area if they do fire at all. We want a rich, wide warm sector, which this has it right now, and that's why this MCS is doing so well here. But it's just really pinched up here. And I would be worried about our area up here, but since last night, the trend has been to, or prior, the trend has been to initiate convection along here, and that would kind of serve as a block for this area up here. And we're actually seeing that's not the case, and through kind of this huge domino effect, we've got this MCS going, which may block this region from getting much in the way of severe weather. And now that this is unblocked, we might actually get the leftover cape that nose into our area. So if we switch to probably, well, let's do 23Z or so and see what we got near here. And what I'm liking about it is that you do have a lot of low level cape and you have a lot of low level shear. I'm a little bit worried that our shear above 1 kilometer, our 1 and our 2 are right on top of each other in this sounding. Our shear above 1 kilometer is really not that great at all. So oftentimes what happens from these is you just get these rain showers that if they survive to a deeper updraft, rapidly spin up some kind of low level meso in a best case scenario. But other than that, I'm kind of just expecting showery activity, kind of diffuse because of that little bit of lack of forcing up too. So yeah, our Cape profile is enough to support maybe some tiny hail because we have a little bit of cooler temp profile, but not expecting anything much more from that. But in this general deeper, richer moisture regime, uh, the issue is that your wind shear is less, and you're away from that upper level jet. You're away from the low level jet response, and yeah, this could support a brief supercell or two. I bet it could. But mainly the convection here should be a little bit disorganized. So we'll see how that pans out, and we'll see how up here pans out. I'm getting a little bit excited. So thank you all for watching. I'm going to continue to hopefully pump these out in the future. Have a good day, y'all.